Alright, how's everyone doing today? Arthur and I are going to give a review of Stephen Hawking's Universe by David Filkin. There's a TV series that I watched that goes along with this book, and we'll just give our opinion, or my opinion, and a review. You don't have an opinion, do you? Did you read it too? Huh? This is Arthur. He's a ball python, about a couple months old. He's a male. He's my good boy. Yes, he's a good boy. But okay. So, I'll give a kind of a update. So, I first read Genesis and gave an analysis of Genesis, and that's the first book of the Bible. God created the universe, Adam and Eve, and everything. And because I was reading Genesis, I thought I'd get an atheist perspective of how the universe could have been created if there was no God. So I read A Brief History of Time, and I actually really enjoyed reading it. I think Stephen Hawking is a genius. He's really smart. I believe in God, so I believe God created the universe. But it's cool to get different ideas and see how they can justify a universe beginning from nothing and what kind of theories they could come up with. They weren't able to prove anything. He wasn't. None of the other cosmologists who tried to study and try to figure out theories of how the universe could have been created without a God came up with any idea that I could really see as plausible. But they were interesting, and it was fun to read. And so I picked up this book right here, which is kind of a simplified version of A Brief History of Time. If you're going to get one of the two books, definitely get Stephen Hawking's Universe. This book is full of really cool pictures of the universe. It explains things in a more simple way for someone like me who's stupid. Just kidding. A little bit stupid. Someone like me who can understand it easier. Don't get me wrong, this book was really good. I understood 75-80% of it. There was some chapters I really struggled with. I don't really get quantum mechanics. No matter how much I read that, I just couldn't grasp the whole concept. But a lot of the space stuff, the larger scale, the larger picture, I was able to grasp. But the inner workings of quantum mechanics and some of the theories, when I got into detail, when Stephen Hawking got into detail, it was confusing. So I definitely think this book was an easier read, and the pictures and everything made it more enjoyable. Oh, I need pictures to read. No. There's some really amazing pictures in here. I'll show you some really cool pictures of the galaxy. But we'll go over my notes first. And so one of the really interesting things in the book was it talked about different religions, views on how the Earth was started or how the Earth, where was the Earth in the universe. And there is a certain religion, which I don't remember the name, but they believed the Earth was an infinite pile up of turtles. Yes, an infinite tower of turtles. A turtle stacked on a turtle, stacked on a turtle, stacked on a turtle, with Earth. That theory is, or not theory, that religion, that, not a theory, I mean, it's not any, there's no science to prove it. What would that be called? That's just the fantasy, right, of the turtles. That's insane. That'd be really cool, though. Imagine if we lived on Earth and we were just spinning on a turtle, like a basketball, just spinning on top of a turtle shell. It'd be pretty cool, right? I mean, I like animals, reptiles. Can you imagine just some giant turtle holding up the Earth? What happens when that turtle dies and it just falls over? Does the Earth just fall into infinite nothingness? But yeah, no, I thought that was a cool fantasy tale. Definitely wilder theories than that out there that I've read. Especially by some of these cosmologists, like the multiversal theory. There's a theory, I forgot who came up with this theory, but pretty much their theory was that our universe is trapped inside a bubble, and that there's an infinite number of bubbles, all containing different universes. Therefore, it's a multiverse, like Marvel. We can travel. String theory is also insane. I actually buy into a little bit of string theory. Some of the concepts are really interesting in string theory. I've read a lot on it outside of these books, but it's so complicated, and I am definitely not the one that teaches string theory. Go watch videos on it. I'm not even going to try to get there. So, chapter 2 of this book was called Christian Complications. Was I offended? The Christian? No. if you watch some of my other videos, especially my video on Genesis, you'll understand that I am able to read differing opinions and not get offended. So they had this chapter called Christian Complications, and it was pretty much about the struggle between the church and science throughout history. And I will admit, the church, especially the Catholic Church, which I am no fan of the Catholic Church, they've caused lots of problems with science throughout history, whether it was barring scientists from doing research, banning books, even imprisoning scientists who disagreed with the church's opinion at that time. It wasn't even biblical opinion. They didn't just disagree with something said in the Bible. It was they disagreed on the way Christians or Catholics saw the world. So they thought like the earth and the sun and everything had to be moving in perfect, like a spherical shape, like perfect circle. But the earth and the sun actually, they rotate in ovals. And I forgot who proved it, but when they proved it, they were imprisoned. And I think that might have been Galileo. I could be wrong on that. Don't quote me on that. Okay. But yeah, they also believed the sun had to revolve around the earth. They didn't like it when that was disproven. So Galileo predicted that the earth moved around the sun, and that's what he was put on house arrest for. It's ridiculous. Why would Christians be fighting with these scientists, especially by something that's not even in the Bible? It doesn't make sense. Like, it wasn't in the Bible. They didn't disagree with biblical text. Biblical text is not wrong. Their opinion was wrong at the time. You know, they had this thought in their mind, and they thought that's how God would have done it. And so they jailed Galileo, or house arrest Galileo, because of their ignorance. That's not even based on biblical text. It's ridiculous. Catholic Church has done messed up things throughout history. I don't understand how anyone can support the Catholic Church still. But that's a topic for another day. Yeah, so yeah, it's pretty much the Catholic Church has been corrupt through history, and it's been an enemy of science. I like science. I'm still a Christian. I disagree with some stuff science says, but I find it fascinating, and I think it's good that we're trying to figure things out. I think it's smart. I don't think God put us here to just be dumb. I think He wants us to study and learn. But yeah. So moving on. Chapter 3 was about light. So light can show. Light can determine the makeup of like stars in the sun. So you can look at a star, or even our sun, and based on the colors it is shining through the light spectrum, you can determine like its makeup, like what elements make up that sun or that star, and you can determine how far it is like moving away from us or towards us. So if it's, I think, on the blue end, I think blue end is moving towards us. So if you see a star and it's on that blue spectrum, it's going to be moving towards us. If it's red, it's going to be moving away from us. Let's see. There's a lot of claims by atheists that this helped prove atheism because the universe was expanding. I don't think that proves anything. I don't think God ever stated that He created a static universe. That's not biblical. The universe isn't static. It's been proven by now. The universe is expanding. That wasn't a win for atheism at all. Not biblical. A lot of these things these people got stuck up on, it's just strange. Like, these Catholics thinking in certain ways that aren't based on the Bible, and then calling it heresy if you don't believe that. It's crazy. There was a lot of that in this book. I like how they get into it. They weren't very biased either. They didn't talk down to Christians or anything, or the religion. That's what I like about some of the older scientific books. Like, this book is from, I think, the early 2000s or the 1990s. Scientists were a lot more aware, I guess, and cared more about religious opinion than I think they do in 2022. I feel like religion is kind of mocked now, and but yeah, the book did a good job of not doing that. So another thing explained in the book, which is really cool, is the Doppler effect. Uh, the best example I can think of it right now is a police car driving by. As it approaches, the sound will be, I think, higher pitched. Then as it get closer, it'll sound, what it would sound like if it were right in front of you. And then as it leaves, I think it has a lower pitch. I could have my pitches mixed up. But if you were to like stand in a street and watch a police car drive by, the sound changes. So the frequency of the sound is going to change. Just like if you were to stand by a train station and watch a train go by, it'll sound different the further away it is, and then different when it goes away. The frequencies of the sound changes. So that's just the Doppler effect. I probably did a really bad job of explaining that. One really cool, interesting, something I find really interesting is the universe is expanding, like I said earlier, and the further away a galaxy is, the further away it's actually moving from us. So as a galaxy gets further away from us, it speeds up and moves faster. So if you were to fly a spaceship trying to get to that galaxy that's moving away from us, the further away it is from us, the faster it's getting, so the faster you're going to have to travel to get there. Eventually it'll become impossible because they'll be moving so fast that even at the speed of light, you can't catch it. It's really interesting, isn't it? More stuff about the Catholics. Fun. This one's actually good. Catholic priest Ab Lemaitre, I pronounced that wrong, guaranteed. He helped prove that the universe had a beginning by coming up with the primeval atom theory, which is similar to the Big Bang theory. The steady statists argued against this, but they were proven wrong. The steady statists thought that the universe was unchanging, unmovable. Nothing was changing in the universe. It never began, and it will never end. They've been proven wrong. We now know that there was a Big Bang. Hi, you coming to interrupt me? You say hi to Arthur? Good girl. Alright. So, explosions of big stars cause supernovas, and when a little star dies, it goes into a dwarf star, and eventually an iron giant. Quick note, like I said, a lot of this stuff, I went into deeper explanations in my previous video, Brief History of Time, so if you want these concepts more drawn out, just watch that video. I'm just kind of giving a review of this one, kind of the thoughts and notes I took during it, what I thought was really cool about the book, and what I learned that I liked. So, when Stephen Hawking came up with a theory for a black hole, he reversed, or not the theory of black hole, I'm sorry. When he came up with his theory of the Big Bang, like his version of the Big Bang, he reversed the theory of black hole. So in a black hole, the black hole singularity is a star collapses a huge star into infinite density, so it becomes really small and extremely dense. And he just took the opposite of that and took infinite density exploding to create the universe. That was his idea, and that helped him get his PhD. Really cool. Really cool idea for a college student. And the Catholic Church actually gave him an award for this. Again, I'm going to pronounce this wrong, Pontifical Academy Medal. Yeah, they were happy that he helped prove the Big Bang, of course, because God created the universe. Scientific evidence helping show that the universe was created is a win for the Catholics. In Christianity, I subscribe to the Big Bang Theory. Believe that's how God created the universe, but yeah, pretty cool that they did that, even though he is an atheist. There was a chapter on alchemy, and it was a mystical idea, and they were trying to create gold. They were like a cultish cultist group that was trying to create gold through fire and mixing elements. One side note, if you watch my video on Spider-Man Edge of Time, this one right here, there is a corporation that is a bad guy in that game. They're called Alchemax, and they are based on the alchemists of the past. Just thought that was a cool note. Church proclaimed alchemy as witchcraft, of course, and had the alchemists censored. That was really dumb. They burned their books, they burned their research, and as it turns out, alchemy kind of predicted, in a way, a science, something science came to learn later on. It has to do with radium. I'm not going to really get into it, but they kind of learned that one element can change into another, which is on the track of what alchemists were trying to do. And when that scientist actually discovered that, I forget their name, I kind of forget which elements, I don't remember this chapter that well, but when they figured that out, they were afraid they were going to be labeled alchemists, so they kind of came up with a new phrase, and that phrase was kind of shifted out of existence, because they didn't want to be labeled as alchemists. Like I said earlier, there was more on quantum mechanics here. Quantum mechanics is not my thing. I really struggle to understand quantum mechanics, so I will not get into quantum mechanics at all. So I came up with this theory while reading the book about dark matter. Dark matter is predicted to make up like 90% of the universe, 85% of the universe, and it's something we can't see. We can only measure the effects of it, and we know it's out there because of the effects it has on the universe, but we just can't see it. So I have this theory. I said, if only big stars can create elements above iron, could the Big Bang have created an even denser element that could be microscopic in what is known as dark matter? So pretty much my theory is the Big Bang happened, and dark matter, which we know is 90% of the universe, was spread all the way out throughout the universe as a super dense microscopic matter, and that it is pretty much everywhere out there in the universe because it was part of the Big Bang. We know that the hotter a star is, the more elements it could create. So what if the Big Bang created an element that only the Big Bang could have replicated? That is my theory on it. We still to this day do not know what dark matter is. We have some ideas. They tested it to see whether it was hot or cold in a way. I don't really know how they did this test, but they figured it was going to be a colder element, which means it would have been denser. So that would kind of go along with my theory of it being a dense element created by the Big Bang. But yeah, so I said after more research, my theory on dark matter, I still agree that it is a new element, unrecorded yet and created during the Big Bang, which is the only way I think it could be so small, so universally dispersed throughout the galaxies, and why it might make up 85 to 90% of the universe. We know that there are fluctuations in the temp immediately after the Big Bang. What if these fluctuations were 85% dark matter, and 15% of the remaining universe? So what if during the fluctuations, the majority of the universe was the dark matter that was created, and the fluctuations were what we see? This theory kind of goes with I'm really bad with the names of the different theories, but pretty much what that's saying is we know when the universe exploded that the heat, or the temp, there was mild fluctuations which helped allow for the universes to begin. So I think that that kind of goes along with, there was some fluctuations which helped create the universe. What if there wasn't those fluctuations, all that there would have been is dark matter, this other element, right? Again, it's just a theory, and I'm no cosmologist, so I could be way off. My theory could be way off. I don't have a theory of what it is, what it looks like, just other than it's microscopic, super dense, and created by the Big Bang and widely dispersed. Which most of that is already known. We know it's widely dispersed. A lot of scientists think it was probably created during the Big Bang, like all other elements. They argue on the density still. I think it's probably extremely dense. That would make sense to me. I also said if it were super dense, it would also help explain why the universe is slowing down, why the expansion of the universe is slowing down. Some scientists think that the universe will just expand forever and just get slower and slower and slower, but always expand. Some think we'll recollapse on ourselves. Either way, they don't know why the universe is expanding or why it's slowing down. So I think that, at least to explain why it's slowing down, if this matter was super dense and the Big Bang explodes, right, eventually this matter is going to stop it from expanding, because we could still be in the onset of the explosion, right? This is still, if you were to watch an explosion like in slow motion and watch the heat expand and everything, we could still just be like that final like moments, right, where everything's starting to settle down, but not quite done. This is super confusing, guys. I confuse myself with this, but it's really cool. It's really cool stuff. Neutrinos. So in chapter 9, it talks about if neutrinos have mass, it could be this is a particle. It could be another candidate for dark matter. And then it says, I wrote down, computer programs show that dark matter wouldn't act like a neutrino, but would be more dense and not that fast acting. Again, that would fit my theory of super dense object, widely dispersed by the Big Bang, new element not created, or not yet discovered. I think it's a new element we have not yet discovered. It's not an existing element out there that's just widely dispersed. It's a new super dense element created by the Big Bang. That is my theory. I will stick with it until they prove it wrong. I'm no cosmologist, just someone who read the book and kind of put it together like, during the Big Bang, we know that different heat can create different elements. Hotter stars create more elements than non-hot, like less hot stars. So something as big as the Big Bang, as hot as the Big Bang, an explosion like never before seen or after seen, could have created a completely unique element, which would explain why it's everywhere. No, I've gone over that a lot, but that is my theory. If someday it is proven to be true, I'm going to say called it. But who knows? We might never discover what it is because it's so hard to detect. So the universe is so vast, and if you take God out of the equation, there are probably hundreds, if not thousands, of other species of intelligent life. So we had a chapter on ETs and aliens, pretty much, and if they could exist, and the government searched for aliens in the past. I tell you what, if I wasn't a Christian, like before I became a Christian, 100% believed in aliens. The universe is so big, if you were to look up there and say, there's no way there's another intelligent life somewhere out there, that's crazy. You'd have to have more faith that we are alone than not alone if you are an atheist. It wouldn't make sense for us to be the only life form, a speck in a pile of sand. There'd have to be more. The Earth is so small compared to the whole universe. Our galaxy is so small compared to the whole universe. There are countless stars and countless possibilities for other life to have formed. The only way we could be alone is if you put God into the equation, which I do. But despite that, is it possible that God made other life? I think that's within the realm of possibility. We don't know much. The Bible doesn't know. The Bible doesn't tell us much about who or what God is, just that He is God, our Creator, and that He is good. Um, we don't, from what we read of the Bible, we think, at least I think, so far from what I've read and learned, God is the only one like Him. But I'll have to keep reading. Is it possible that there are other beings like God? I doubt it. And the Bible might make that clear. I think it does at certain points that God is alone. But why would He stop with us? Could He have created more? And if He didn't create those beings in our universe, could He have created different universes, like the multiverse theory that one of the scientists in this book came up? And could He have created different universes outside of our existing universe? It's a really interesting thought. Without God, there's no way we're alone. With God, it's possible, but is it likely? Do you think He could have created something other than us and not have told us about it? Why would He have? He'd just want us to focus on us, right? He wouldn't tell us about His other creations. Would they go to heaven too? Would they serve a different purpose? Just thoughts, speculation. Interesting though. I think the idea of aliens and other life is extremely interesting, and I think science should continue to study that, because who knows? Who knows? But it would not surprise me if there was something else out there. Yeah. String theory is another interesting idea.